Gotta catch 'em all. But once you caught them, what are you gonna do with them? That's the Pokemon problem. You got, say, 5 slots for monsters on your combat team, or, I don't know, 4 crew slots for your spaceship, whatever, right? But you got a million options. Every monster you encounter is an option. Every person in every town, every randomly generated um, planet in the galaxy is an option. But the human mind can't care about all of these options, and the game doesn't even try to make you. You just pick and choose the 5 you like and you ignore the rest. Right? But this is a problem because that means you're ignoring 99% of the content in the game. And if the player is ignoring 99% of the content in the game, you have to create 100 times more content. Now, if you're Nintendo, sure, go ahead. Manually create hundreds of species of wacky animal and all of their various forms. But if you're an indie dev, it's not going to be that simple. It's too expensive. So when an indie dev has to create hundreds of times of content, they're just going to go ahead and create a content manufacturing algorithm. And now you have 100,000 different people, all of which are basically the same. It's mush. But it's going to be much either way, and that's something people don't realize. They're like, well, if we can only find a better way to generate people, then, well, no matter how well you generate these people, it's going to end up as mush because the player is not allowed to care about them. The player can't do anything with them. The player can't learn anything about them or work with them, not without giving up on another person that they've already chosen. So let's talk about it. What sort of options do we have to make it so that we can maybe use less content but get more satisfying engagement out of it? And obviously, I'm not going to say that Pokemon is bad, but Pokemon is expensive. We don't have that kind of money. Can we get something cheaper? Well, sure, but we can't use Pokemon's exact setup because that's expensive. One of the things Pokemon does is they actually realize this is an issue. So in addition to that 5 monster crew that you get to fight with, or whatever it is this time, there's also like, oh, you can create a team to defend the gym, and they'll go defend the gym. And here's some training slots for people where you can drop off monsters and get them trained. Oh, you can breed monsters here. Oh, you want to trade with your friends? Well, here's a good spot for that. And in that sort of way, they give you a lot of different slots and they cycle through the slots. And it's like, well, now you need a different main crew member in your main party for this reason or that reason or whatever. But the human brain doesn't work this way. When you're playing a game, your brain can't really keep track of that many pieces, that many slots. Generally speaking, the human brain prefers about 7 slots, active RAM slots. So this is not going to end up engaging you quite as much as they think it will. It does create a nice rolling effect because it's breaking your attention off into separate groups. But the actual monsters within those groups aren't going to be frontlined. They're not going to be things that you constantly think about. You're going to think, oh, the training is done. Let's go grab the training monsters and make sure they're leveled up properly. Or you're going to think, oh, the gym was defended. Hooray. You're not going to think, oh, my level 80 Pidgey in the gym did a sterling job of... No, it's just like it worked or it didn't. So how can we create a more engaging set of mechanics? Well, there are a lot of ways, but the basic concept is that you want to make sure that this isn't about the player. That's my favorite approach. I'll give you an example. There's a game called Valkyrie Profile. It's not a perfect game, and it's getting pretty old at this point, but it does have a really interesting idea. You play as a Valkyrie, which is the harbinger of the dead. So when someone dies, you go down, and if they're a warrior, you collect them, and you train them up, and then you send them off to fight in the final battle at Ragnarok. That's what the game is about. There are no randomly generated people in the game. Not that you can have on your team anyway. But there are a large number of people. I believe there's something like 40 or 50 characters that you can train. And the thing is that at first, it kind of feels like a normal game of this sort, a normal monster trainer game. You've got 3 slots in your party plus you, so you pick who you want. You get a couple at the beginning that you don't have a choice on, and you're training them up, and then you realize things like, oh wait, when I'm training them up, I'm not just improving things like their ability to kill people in combat. I'm improving things like, oh, their ability to cook, or their bravery, or I am, decreasing their hot-headedness. These are skills and traits that really work very well at helping you to understand that these people are people. They have things that they want to do outside of just, wandering dungeons, killing monsters. So it's a great way to front that stuff. It's you bring their character to the front, their personality to the front, not with expensive setups, not with expensive cutscenes, but by simply having them have traits and stats that are personal to them and are completely useless to you in combat. Nearly completely useless. But of course, there are other games that do that. And the problem is that if they're not going anywhere, there's really no point to it. But this is going somewhere because those people in your party, you have to give them up. They're not yours. They are their own person, and they're going to go fight in the final battle at Ragnarok. And you're going to have to send them off, and you're going to have to pick somebody else to be in your party. And for the rest of the game, whoever you sent off to fight in Ragnarok, they're not available to you, but they constantly send you letters and rewards and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, I had to fight a fire giant, but because I was brave and cool-headed, I managed to get through. Heck, even my cooking experience was useful because I was used to the hot kitchen. And that's really powerful. And it's this wonderful tension because you've got a couple of characters in these combat slots, and they might be people you really like, or people who are hilariously overpowered in combat. And you're like, I don't want to send them away. I don't want to get rid of these people. I like them. I appreciate having them around. I want to keep them. So maybe you send off someone else instead, and you keep this person, and their level keeps going up and up and up. But the final battle at Ragnarok is going poorly now because you kept the super overpowered cool guy that they really needed. I think this is a wonderful approach. This approach puts the focus on the individual characters and takes it off of you. You're not the final destination. You're just a stop-off. You're a place for them to get trained up. And I think that that is a valuable way to think about it because it keeps the flow constant. You don't ever have to worry about getting stuck too badly on a specific set of characters because you can't. Those characters are their own person and they're going to walk off someday. To give you a similar example, there are a lot of games about, say, running an MMA gym. So let's call this house an MMA gym. And you've got your fighters, and maybe you're pulling your fighters out of like a randomized fighter creation set. So every couple of days you go and see which new randomly generated fighters you've got. Now, normally what this kind of setup entails is you've got a gym and you've got like a roster of 6 fighters in your gym, and your gym has specific equipment, and your gym has so many slots it's allowed to have in it, and your gym has a certain number of contracts with outside advertisers or whatever. It's all about your gym. But it's fucking not, is it? It's about this guy. It's his life. He's the one with the career. He's the one that's trying to succeed on his own terms. You're there to help enable that. It's not about your gym. The game tells you it is, but if you take that at face value, then you're going to end up reducing all of the people that you're helping to numbers. So what if we focus on the fact that this is about the people, not about you? suddenly we have a ton of options. We have just a metric buttload of places this could go. And every person we meet, we don't think, well, is this person good enough to be in my gym? No, we think, could we help this person achieve their dreams? Could we help this person reach their goal? And sure, that will have some mechanical effect on us. We'll get money or whatever. But the point here is that we're not saying, is this person as good as our magical, super idealized best person? Instead, we say, can we get this person to their goal? And if their goal isn't so far away, if they're weak and they just want to get a little stronger, why not? That's real quick. That's real easy. We can do that in like 2 days. Just go bam, bam, you're done. And now you've helped someone succeed. You help someone achieve their dream, and they're on their way, and they say hello every time you see them in the street. And some days they send over friends or children that they've had, and you get to train them up, because who doesn't want to send their kid off to also be a boxer, right? Of course, boxing is just an arbitrary choice. MMA is just an arbitrary choice. You could do it with whatever. Monsters, superheroes, anything. But the idea here is that they need to be their own thing. They each need to have their own destiny they want to achieve. And if you look at the games that you see, the monster trainer games that you see, or the combatant trainer games, that's never the case. Every time it's about you and about what you're doing. And that's just really small. That's really constrained. You're not going to be able to keep that rolling without a lot of work. But if it's about them, that's great. Whether they're strong or weak, whether they're smart or stupid, flawed or perfect, they have something they want to achieve, and you can help them achieve it. You don't have to have the strongest person all the time. You don't have to have the most interesting arrangement all the time, because it's not about you. That's how I like to solve the Pokemon problem. I'd like to hear your comments. Let me know what you think about this and whether you think it's not a problem, but I think it is. You can certainly make an interesting game like Pokemon. There are literally hundreds of games. Not all Pokemon specifically, but, of the sort. And they work. But they work by sacrificing 99% of their content. And that's kind of a shame to me. I'd like to go into a random bar or walk through random high grass and be able to say, every single creature I encounter, every single person I run into here, I might want to help them. I might actually want to know more about them and bring them on board. And that's it. Thanks for listening.